friends. Welcome to In the Mix. Look who we have here with us today. I'm so super excited. Literally the highlight of my night. Hopefully it is for you too. Today I have got Brandee with Blush by Brandee Gaar wedding planner. And I also have Corbin and Mandy. They are with Love and Lustre. They do actually heirloom videos. And fun little fact, if you were watching some of the clips when we started, they actually shot some of that. So thank you guys for always sending us some of your amazing footage and of all the moments. So I'm so excited you guys are here tonight. I actually want you guys to give a little introduction to all of our viewers. Tell us a little bit about you and your company and what's new. So I'll kick it off with Corbin and Mandy.
Cool. Well, hey, everyone. Like Kristen said, we are Corbin and Mandy. We are Love and Lustre Weddings. We do fine wedding films. We serve all of Central Florida and beyond. To give you an idea of our style, it would be emotion is the key to everything that we do. So we want to tell the story of our couple's days in a cinematic, tailored approach to each person, but still leaving it natural and making sure that just the emotion and the feeling shines through. So that's our goal, is if we can capture for our couples a memory that lasts a lifetime of that emotion of the day, that's who we are.
Oh, I love that, because I speak for all of the girls on the team. We are all about creating the moments. So you guys definitely shine when it comes to that. Obviously, we use your stuff all the time. Brandee, I would say need no introduction, but Brandee, tell us a little bit about Blush by Brandee Gaar and what's new with you guys.
Hey guys, hey everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. I am so excited to be here. Thanks, Kristen, for asking me. So Blush by Brandee Gaar is a wedding planning firm here in Central Florida. We service the state of Florida, and we have a team of 6. And we've been in business for about 13 years. And what makes our team unique is that our job is to really create so much trust between us and our clients that you can relax and give Corbin and Mandy and your photographer and your DJ all the feels they need to make the memories for you. So our job is really just to take all that stress away, because if you're wearing stress, they're going to see it on your face. So that's what we really pride ourselves on, is making sure that when you walk in on your wedding day, that you're just, 100% my planner has it, and I'm not thinking about anything else except enjoying my family and my friends and boogieing down to the awesome music that's being played. So that's really what we pride ourselves on.
I love that. And I feel like that really is the number one thing. I think you said it best. Like, when they come in stressed, you really see it on their face, and no one wants that in their wedding videos, right?
Nobody. That can't be edited out. I mean, faces, guys, they can only do so much in the editing, okay? So
not a lot, but yes, yeah.
It really something great to work with. When a bride is having fun, you can see it, like you can feel it in the storytelling of the video. And so that's really important to us, is that if we even see the slightest inkling of stress, we're like, no, what's going on? Yeah. So we really enjoy what we do. It's so much fun.
And to dovetail off of that, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but that is one of the recommendations that we give our couples all the time. We'll meet with a couple and they'll say, what can we do? And we're like, do you have a day of coordinator? And they're like, no. I'm like, that would be one of our number one recommendations.
First we say, do we have a planner?
Right.
They say no. We say, do you have a day of
Please
coordinator?
have a day of coordinator.
Yes,
At least a day of coordinator, because I mean, just the 3 of us sitting here make up just a small portion, but a big, grasp of your team. And it's so important. You spend all this time and more money than you'll ever spend on one night ever again. Hopefully your bar bills don't get this high, but it's just something that's like, you have to be able to turn that over to someone else so you can enjoy everything that you planned, right?
Because otherwise they're going to the bride directly for everything on the day of.
And that's not fun. That's no fun. So yeah.
So I want to talk about that a little bit, because I think even for me, and maybe most of us out there, let's say I'm a bride and I'm planning a wedding. I've never done this before. There's not a lot of handbooks for this. I in my head, I'm like, okay, I know. And you're telling me that I don't really want to be stressed and I want to give it away, but like, what is it? Like, what what are actually the things that you do as a planner to take that stress away? Brandee, walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, so really for our team, one of the things that also makes us unique is that we're really in communication with our brides from the beginning. So there's not this, I think when people think of day of coordinator, because that is the bulk of the services we provide. Obviously we do full service, but day of is a lot of our weddings. And I think they have this vision that they're going to plan their whole wedding, and then the day before, or maybe the Wednesday before, they're going to hand a binder to this person, and that person's supposed to be able to make it all happen. And that's just not realistic. And when we tell people that we take over their wedding 6 to 8 weeks before their wedding, and we're in communication with them the whole time, they're like, is that really day of coordination? And we're like, no, but that's what makes us comfortable in making sure all the details align. So for instance, one of the things would be, a lot of times we'll meet with a bride about 8 weeks before her wedding, and we'll see that the videographer is arriving before hair and makeup even has really begun. I mean, random things, right? But I'm thinking about videography. This happens. And we're like, Now, if we didn't take over the wedding until a couple of days before, we'd be able to do nothing about that. But at 8 weeks, we're kind of matching all the things, you know? And so we're looking at things like, does the DJ's timeline make sense with the caterer's timeline and the photographer's timeline? Like, do all of those people mesh together? And so that's really what your planner is taking off of your plate. And by the time your wedding comes, you know that you can trust us, because at that point, we've literally like punched so many holes in this plan, and we've talked to all your vendors. And this wedding industry is a small industry, and we all know each other. I mean, the three of us work together all the time. And so it's just really interesting. Like, we can get answers fast for you because we can like do a quick text to Corbin or do a quick text to Kristen, versus you having to go through like an inquiry form or email. That it's faster when you use professionals. So I think that's really how we're taking the stress out.
And to second that, from a third party's perspective, we can absolutely 100% tell the difference between a wedding that has someone whose only job is to pay attention to those details, and someone who doesn't. I mean, it is literally, I mean, like it's and it not only, it doesn't affect just your stress level, it affects how happy your family is with the catering. It affects how many photos at sunset you can get. It affects everything, like from start to finish.
Yeah, and dovetailing off of what Brandee said, how we're all professionals who work together on a regular basis. I mean, it really helps to have someone who can make those recommendations for you, who you know that you're getting a good, experienced, reliable photographer or videographer or caterer or whoever it is, who actually has experience in the wedding industry.
And because that trust extends out past, because like if I make a recommendation, just like planners, if planners make a recommendation for someone, they're literally putting their name on that person and saying, I recommend this person. And so you as a couple can know that they have some skin in this game. Like they vouch for these vendors, and that can take it to a whole nother level on top of even just the stress of the day.
Yeah, I think it's really important too. Like, let's talk about the scheduling a little bit, and I'll give some examples, you know, of what Brandee just talked about, where, you know, they are really coming in and they're making sure that the DJ's timeline and contract matches with the videographer. I'll give you guys a really extreme example. So let's just say you decide to book our DJ Rocks, and you say, okay, Kristen, we want you guys to rock from like, I don't know, 5 to 10 p.m. Right? And I'm like, cool. In my mind, I know music starts 5 p.m.
Yep.
There's also gray areas in that. What if over the course of a year, you know, you've booked photographer and videographer, and the conversations with them have been like, well, you kind of need to shift up 30 minutes because sunset and like the ceremony's 30 minutes long, and then you're taking pictures during cocktail, which means we need the sun to set right at that, you know, I don't know, 5:30 mark. And you're like, yes, I love it. And you don't even think to tell me that, like, we need to switch my timeline, right? So you've got someone who can look at those fine details, and I am not detail oriented at all. So, you know, just having someone on your side to be able to look at that when things have shifted and then adjust as needed. And I think most importantly, like, my one tidbit would be for this, there's always going to be something that happens the day of that is going to trigger either an adjustment that needs to be made or decision or backup plan to go into place. And so for me, when I got married, one of the, I want to say, I don't want to say the most important, but one of the things I really was looking forward to the most was that getting ready time with like my closest friends. And I had my mom and my aunts, and I'm a stepmom. So I had my 2 girls in the room with me, and just enjoying that moment and listening to music. And so for me, just having a planner downstairs to just like, I was like, do whatever you need to do and just not interrupt like the little moments, because the time is going to fly. You know what I mean? And you want
to get married one day. It's just one day. So
that's it. That's all you get. So I think those things are really important too. Keeping in mind that like there has to be synergy. We have to work together, and someone's got to be in charge of all the things, you know?
That's it. I mean, a wedding planner, you know, people laugh at me when I say this, but we always say we don't actually do anything. Like our whole job is to make sure everyone else does their job well. Like a conductor's not up there playing an instrument. He's just making sure all the instruments play well together. And that's our job, is to really make sure everyone's playing well together so the whole thing makes sense. And Kristen's example literally happens like 10 times a month. I mean, literally we get people in front of us and they're like, oh, I forgot to tell the florist there's one more table, or I forgot. And you're not thinking about it because you don't do this on a regular. That's our job. Like punch all the holes. So
and on top of that, like it helps your photographer and videographer, because half the time if there's no planner, the bride is coming to us, asking us for help.
What's next?
And we're not able to do our jobs as effectively when we're trying to play both the planner.
Like, well, let's look at the schedule. Let's figure this out. Yeah, right.
So true. So true. Yes, I love it.
So let's talk about packages. So I'm a couple and I'm like, okay, I'm in. I understand. Like, let's do it. What should I be looking for in my experience with the packages with you guys?
Sure.
So I'll start with Corbin and Mandy. So walk me through, like, what are my options? I don't even know if I'm looking at the right package. So talk to me about packages for video.
So we have 2 main types of videos. The one that we're known most for is our highlight films, which is what you'll see on our website. They're about 4 to 9 minutes long. They're super cinematic. They're super emotional. There's music. There's your vows overlaid. And that's what everyone loves to see and share with their families. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have what we call our full-length films. And those are usually of specific parts of your day. So we'll have a full-length film of your full ceremony, so you can see your whole ceremony from beginning to end, or your full toasts, or your full, all your formal dances at a reception. So mother, son, father, daughter, first dance, all of that.
And you'll see clips of those in the highlight, but the full length literally means what it says. It is from start to finish, from when you start coming down the aisle to when you exit the aisle. It is your whole ceremony or whatever event it would be. And to back it up a little bit further, from more of a 30,000 foot view, when people come to us and say, how should I look for a videographer? We would always say, look at their style. So watch their films. For the highlight films, right. So make sure that you're browsing their portfolios, which any good videographer or photographer should have portfolio samples on their website. And look at their styles, because this is a memory. This is a tangible thing that you're going to have for the rest of your life, and you cannot go back and redo it. So if our style isn't your style, we would be doing you a disservice to shoot your wedding. No matter if you like us or if the price is right or whatever, don't get something that you're going to be, like every time you watch it from 10 years. So we always say, look at the style, and then the packages are then structured based on a bunch of different things to do that.
That's really great advice. I feel like there's a couple different places they can go to see that, right? Like I've seen, you can find highlight clips on websites. You can find it on Instagrams, and I think Vimeo too. You can search. Are those kind of like the top 3 places?
Yeah, I would recommend going to their website first, because that will be where a videographer will showcase their work, or Instagram. It just depends on how that particular.
Their website, you'll probably see their full highlight films. Instagram, you'll probably see little snippets. Vimeo or YouTube.
That might just be where they're hosting. I mean, it's fine to browse those, but again, so like for us, for instance, we have a pretty big body of work. The 5 pieces that we put up on our website, those are the ones that we're like, this is what you'll get from us with all the knowledge and experience that we've had to this point. This is what our sphere of style looks like. So
and then on our YouTube, you'll see some of our work, and some of it is recent, and some of it is
not
old.
so recent.
Yeah,
right.
and then we have the same thing. And then recently we started hosting on MediaZilla, which I'm not even sure if you can even browse that. So I'd say that the website is definitely the most reliable. And then if you want to go on from there, that's totally up to you. Yeah.
I love it. You know, one of the questions we get asked a lot when couples are trying to decide about video, is the turnaround time. So while we're kind of talking about packages and things like that, what can I expect? What is even a good expectation? Because you guys are putting a lot of time and energy. I mean, you're shooting, you've got what? A minimum of 12 to 14 hours of footage that you've got to thumb through and pick out the best moments. And then, you know, the couple has to choose the music, then it has to come back. And then there might be 2 or 3 edits. So what would be an ideal or realistic turnaround time for how long that would take to do a project like this?
I love that you brought this up.
And sorry, this just is like organic. I didn't rewrite it
This
down,
is a great question.
It gets asked this question all the time.
We get like a lot of people who are like, well, why do videos cost this when you're only there for 6 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours? And like the shooting part is just the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg.
Like there's so much more work that goes into making a decent video than just the shooting.
Yeah.
So like you said, there's like 12 or 18 or 16 hours to sort through. Our turnaround time up until now, or I guess also after now, is a 1 month delivery. So 1 month from your wedding, we deliver all of your films.
And that's in our contract. So there's a line in our contract that says from the date of your wedding, 30 days from that day is when you will receive all of the aforementioned services.
Wow.
And that is an important distinction to make. You want to make sure that delivery time is in your contract with whoever you book as your videographer.
We've heard horror stories, and 1 month is not, there's no standard really, because all of this is art.
Okay.
So a videographer can look at you and go, it'll take 6 months, and that's fine. But the important thing is that they're upfront about it and that they are somehow held to it, so that you're not a year and a half later going, where's my film?
Yeah.
Because there was no recourse, or there was no solid answer on when it was. So for us, it's a month because we want it to be fresh in our minds. We want to make sure you have it quickly. There are many reasons why we do a month, and then there's also valid reasons why you'd want it longer than a month. That's just not how we work. There's also people that do it faster. I mean, if that's important to you, you talk to whoever you're talking to and say, what is your average time for delivery? Yeah. Like for us, it's just below a month, obviously, because we want to go out before the month. So,
Brandee, what would you say if you could find an average, or based on just kind of like the different scenarios you've seen, what could kind of a bride expect as far as like, okay, maybe it's 1 month, maybe it's 6 months. What have you seen, and what advice would you give them, and what to look for?
Yeah, Corbin's absolutely right. It's so all over the board, to be honest. And so it's always funny when brides come to us. In our area, there is a videographer specifically that takes 6 months, and we know that. And so they always brides will come to us and say, is 6 months really normal? And I'm like, it is for them, and that's fine. As long as you're comfortable with it, I'm 100% in agreement. We now always tell our brides, please, please, please make sure your delivery time is in your contract, because that wasn't a thing just a few years ago, not even. And it's just so many videographers, then you'll not get your video for like a year and a half, but there's nothing in their contract.
Right. Yeah. You have no recourse at that point. And also, even just putting it in the contract encourages, I mean, like we're always going to get it done in a month, but we're going to win. It's in our contract. Like we need to make sure we get that done.
Yeah. And it gives everybody kind of a great time frame to work from. You know, we don't do a lot with our clients after the wedding. So our time frame is event day, like everything is event day. But for anyone who's working after the wedding, which is mostly photo video, you're always going to really want to just get on the same page about what that time frame is, and just make sure you're okay with it. And then if your contract says 1 month, don't start hounding them at 1 week.
Right, which we've had that. We're like,
and it's fine.
It's fine.
We're glad
they're probably just so excited. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I wouldn't email my videographer, but I definitely would like look on Instagram every single day and like, is my highlight out? Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Like, I get it.
My brother got married, and it was like a week and a half after his wedding. He's like, I want my video. Where's my video? I'm like, okay,
calm down, bro.
I'm the videographer. I promise you they're working on it.
They're working on it.
And
Aww.
a little side note on that, we actually do something to help with that. We try to get out 30 seconds of our favorite clips within a week or two after the wedding.
Just to give you something to satiate that hunger and excitement.
Until now on social media, everybody's like, well, where's all the photos? Where's all the video? And you want to share the good stuff, you know? So that's really important. And I was going to say too, when you guys were talking about your highlight reel, I think it's great advice to tell brides to look at a videographer's highlight reel, because that's what you're going to share with social media. You're not sharing the full length film most likely, because not that many people
watch it.
I mean, you will. You'll treasure it.
I know. I'm just,
and your kids will. But your friends on social media, you're going to share the highlight film. So make sure it's something that you love. You love their style. Exactly what you guys said. That's really the most important piece. To me, that's what we tell our brides too. So I think that's great.
Style. And then just a quick note on that too. The next thing that we say is personality. So even if you have two videographers who are similar in style, similar in price, similar in whatever, but then one of them you really like, obviously go with the one you really like, because they're going to be with you for that 12 hours for that day.
They're going to be shoving their camera in around your area the whole day. So we want to make sure that you're comfortable with
even in the most awkward times.
Because like if you feel super awkward around us, like that'll come off in your video. We want like the most natural emotion and like in your real day. So
Aw, I love that. Yes. I always tell our couples, like when they're like, well, should I? And I'm like, yes. A lot of people ask, you know, because they trust us, right? I'm sure they ask you tons of questions about, well, what about this DJ? What about that? And so one of the other questions that I get asked about video is like, is it really worth it? And absolutely, without a doubt, yes. Like in the grand scheme of things, you are putting together, you know, the most, I don't even know how to put in words, celebration of two families coming together. There's never going to be another time where everyone is there, sometimes not even, you know, on main holidays. So there's that piece of it. And then there's the, you know, I look back on my wedding film, you know, Mark and I got married I think we're on 8 years. I lose track of time sometimes. And still every anniversary, like I reshare my highlight film, and like there is something about a film and when you hear a voice and just motion, when you see motion that it's not captured in a picture, that brings it all back. And
that's why we do what we do right there.
And at the end of the day, like I'm creating this true heirloom for my girls to always watch. And, you know, there were people who were at our wedding that aren't here anymore. And so just to have that, it just, the memories, I mean, chill bumps.
Everything right now is exactly what we say. Like,
not only do we say it, but we hear it. We hear it from brides after the fact that they're so happy they got it because grandma passed away. Whatever it is. Like it is an emotional memory that they have forever.
And it doesn't even have to be that. I mean, you know, my husband's best man had a tragic accident. And so, I mean, they're dudes. They don't take selfies with each other all the time. Right. So like, you know, us being in his wedding and him being in our wedding is really like the pictures and moments that he has. So it's absolutely amazing. So we have some people tuning in. I want to pop them up real quick. So Jessie was one of your brides. Yay! She says they made the most amazing highlight video for our wedding, and you guys really did. Jessie had, you know, glitter confetti bombs, and they danced all night long, and they were really great. And then we actually have one more. Mary Anthe, she also works in the industry. They do the slow motion video booth, which is really cool. And they worked with Corbin and Mandy last Friday.
And that's another thing on Synergy too. They were actually, so they were doing a different part of the video, and we were doing a different part of the video. We work so well together, so it's very important. Make sure that you talk to your vendors ahead of time. And
wait a minute, talk to me about that. Do people need to know, or should we go offline with that?
No, it's fine. So there's basically there's all kinds of video that you can do. They were doing live streaming for a wedding that was
Oh.
Right. So they were broadcasting it to some people who couldn't be there, which is awesome. Yeah. And that let us focus on the video that we needed to do, the highlight, the full lengths, all that.
I love that. You know what? Because I do get asked sometimes, either like we have had a couple times where, let's say a maid of honor or like someone significant is pregnant and she can't fly.
Yeah.
Or let's say, a grandparent can't come in. There are times where maybe, it's good to live stream. So that's a great, I love that.
We offer live streaming as well. But just like how it worked out for that wedding, we definitely would always recommend bringing a separate dedicated team, because that is it's similar, but it's a different discipline and a different thing that is
and even
happening.
If someone hires us for both live stream and highlight, we still always hire out someone else because we can't do both. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you want to make sure that each of your vendors is focusing on what they do best. Because again, when you guys can show up and you can be stress-free, it's the same for your vendors. You know what I mean? Whether it's the planner, the video, the photographer, the DJ, we need to focus on what we do best. And then we need to do that as a team. I'll pop up one little more comment. So Allie's on here. Allie is with Blush. Hey, Allie.
For blushing, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Yay.
We love that.
So let's talk about some fun stuff. I want to know, and hopefully everyone else does, tell us the most memorable wedding you have done in your career.
Brandee
wants to go first.
Yeah.
Okay. Go first.
Okay, so they said that I want to go first because we talked about this offline a little bit before we came on. And I said, I don't know if it's just because we're going live together tonight that this is the one that popped in my head. But so Corbin and Mandy were working with us at a wedding, and they were doing pre-ceremony shots with the bride and groom, like first look. And they were all the way out, really, really far on the golf course, on golf carts, really far from the hotel. And they called me, SOS. The groom got a nosebleed. And I was like, okay. I mean, it's a nosebleed. Got it. No big deal. And they were like, no, like now. We need you to now. And they start coming back with the bride and groom, and our team is there. And when I tell you, it looked like Amityville Horror. I mean, and so apparently what the groom decided not to tell us in advance, or the bride, I was like, guys, this would have been a good heads up for anyone. The groom has a condition, and when he gets nervous, his nose bleeds. So as he was watching the bride come toward him, he started getting nervous. Well, he didn't realize his nose was bleeding, nor did anyone else. So when they went to hug and kiss, his nose bled. Thank God not on her dress, somehow. But when she was covered, he was covered.
Yep.
It was literally like she walked up, he was waiting for her to like tap him on the shoulder or whatever to turn around for their first look. And we could see that he was nervous, which is normal. And he turns around, they kiss, we're like filming, and then they pull apart, and both of them are just like from here on down. Like it was on her chest, it was on her neck, it was like it looked like they were zombies. Like
for sure. Like he took a big old chunk out of her neck, for sure.
A fun story. We were able to use part of that shot for that film. Yeah. And so literally in that film, you'll see them start to pull apart, and maybe 2 frames after that, you can't use it anymore. So we literally used like every second, every frame that we possibly could of that shot.
Isn't that so funny? So their whole first look, but I do remember seeing their finished film, and I was like, how on earth did you make that look like nothing happened? But it was so funny because I was afraid that he needed to go to the hospital, and the bride's all like, "Oh, this happens all the time," and I'm like, "Okay." So,
wow. I mean, so at least we have a wedding planner to help us figure out what do we need to do in these situations.
No kidding. I mean, that's the thing. Like everything has to keep going on, and especially like our team, we have a lead planner, which in that case was me, and then we have an assistant planner. So assistant is still like if you were the DJ at that wedding, which I don't even remember who it was, but they're still running the show to make sure everything's still happening. Like place cards are still going down, vendors are still going.
Or like, what if you guys needed like a 10-minute window because it was the very end of cocktail hour? So someone's got to let me know, stall the music, don't start introductions. Wow, I'm so glad they're okay though.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. And they were
awesome. They were awesome.
such an amazing couple. They have 2 kids now, and that was several years ago. But I mean, when people when I hear that question, it's like, what's your most memorable wedding? I'm like, I don't know, because there's all kinds of different memories that can come from weddings too, right? Yeah. We built a tree, like we built a forest in the middle of a ballroom, and Corbin and Mandy filmed the behind the scenes for that of me, which was so cool. And I mean, literally a 24-hour load-in. We turned a ballroom into an enchanted forest with rainbows and kaleidoscope, and
I love that.
It was cool. So there's all kinds of
an outdoor wedding, but put me in the air.
I know. Like her brother was supposed to get married outside, and it rained on his wedding day, and they had to go to backup plan. And she was like, "I don't want to worry about it. I want a forest and a ballroom." And I was like, "Done.
Let's do it."
And it happened. It looked amazing.
So let's rewind a little bit, because you had mentioned that was it the first look that they were doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's pro con that. Obviously, all of us get asked the question, should I do a first look? Should I not do a first look? Brandee, talk to us about pros and cons for the couples that are watching.
Yeah.
Should I do a first look?
Okay, so here's my spiel. I was very against it for a long time because I am a traditional girl. I like tradition. However, as I've really started to work through 13 years of weddings, it honestly takes so much stress away. And I think the thing that I always have to battle with my couples, and battle is probably the wrong word, but the thing that I have to kind of convince them of is I always tell them, listen, I don't care whether you do a first look or not. It does not matter to me. And so if it's super important to you one way or the other, don't let me sway you. But let me tell you the difference. And the main difference, the thing that they get hung up on the most is it's like, you'll have a groom that says, but I always dreamed of seeing my bride at the top of the aisle. And I'm like, I totally hear you. But here's what's going to happen when the first time you see her is at the top of the aisle. You will not get to say 2 words to her alone until that night, like late that night after the reception, because we're going to be moving you and people are going to be talking to you the whole time. And you certainly can't talk during the ceremony. So I was like, but here, listen to this. What if you're alone? It's just the 2 of you and your videographers and your photographers who are kind of like tucked away. And the first time you see her, you actually get to say to her, you look amazing. Or I love you so much. I'm so excited for today. And you can actually spend 45 minutes together talking about like what their day was like. I mean, you probably are looking forward to spending every minute with each other from this point forward, right? And so you've spent the whole last 24 hours apart. And it's just a really much different experience, not only for the timeline, which we're all we want that to go smoothly.
Yeah.
But it really is just such a much different experience when you get to spend 45 minutes together before the wedding to just like get your jitters out and talk to each other and love each other and spend that time together and laugh and be fun. And then you go refresh and then you do the wedding. And it really genuinely, truly is not, it doesn't take that moment away. I think everybody thinks it's going to be like you randomly bump into each other in a hallway.
Right.
So we control the situation so much to make sure that you do feel alone. I mean, a lot of times the photographers and the videographers are so far away, you don't even know they're there. And we don't allow anyone else to come either. Like we're like, no bridesmaids, no groomsmen, like unless the bride wants them. But we really try to protect that time. And so I always love it when couples are like, okay, I'm going to try it. My last couple that I had to convince was last September, and the groom was just dead set against it. He was like, absolutely not, I'm not doing it. And so I gave him this whole thing, and he was like, I want to do that. And afterwards, he was like, I am so happy you talked me into that. Because he's like, that was the best, literally the best hour of the whole day. And I was like, that's awesome. So they had a really good time.
And we literally couldn't have said it better than what Brandee just said. Like we don't care which way you do it. We want you to do the way that you want to do it. We want you to feel right. We don't want to convince you. And we tell people, don't let anyone convince you. Don't let mom tell you have to do it traditional. Don't let Brandee tell you have to do a first look. You know, like.
and there are definitely scheduling pros to doing a first look, but it's a really personal decision. And seeing someone on the aisle for the first time is also really emotional. And so we don't want to take that away from anyone either way. If you want to see them beforehand because you think you'll be too emotional if you see them on the aisle, or you want to talk to them beforehand, like that's totally awesome and we'll get some extra portraits. But if you want to see, if you're like dead set on seeing each other at the aisle for the first time. Like, we can do that.
Yeah. It's
it's really.
Sorry,
I was just gonna, you go and then I'll go because I'll give an example.
I was just gonna say, one of the things I love about it is typically the couple that wants to do it are the couple that is so excited about all their friends and family being there too. And so they're like, I want more time with them, and they want to go to cocktail hour, right? So they get more time to like go hang out and party, and it just is, they're free after the ceremony, so you can rush around.
And
That's
for people
a really,
listening,
really great point.
For people listening, that's because a lot of times at first look, you'll be able to get a lot of your portraits out of the way, whereas those would have had to happen during cocktail hour if you didn't do a first look, because that's the first time that you're together, just for people who might not know what that means.
Good call. Yep.
Those are all really good points. I think the only thing that I will add to that is just experiencing that myself. Mark and I did decide to do a first look. And for me, it did not take away from the moment of walking down the aisle. I think that I don't know if those butterflies could have been any more intensified, to be honest. Like, we had our moment together and we said those words, and Brandee, you said it so perfectly, because I've never been able to express it in that way. But I will say, for me, and it may not be for everyone, is that those butterflies were still there, even, and the song I chose, and obviously, guys, I'm the DJ, so I definitely was like, this needs to be queued up to this mark, because I want to be walking at this point in the song. So I understand you, because I am that girl. And it didn't take away from that moment. And, Corbin and Mandy, I mean, as far as a wedding film goes, when you're trying to create those emotions, do you feel like that there's any different of emotions if they do choose a first look?
Not really.
We have seen some really awesome first looks, and we have seen some really awesome green reactions on the aisle. Like,
they're both
it doesn't
great.
matter. They're both awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that. So let's talk about that. Those were some good tips. I want to talk about any other tips. Do you guys have any other, like, I'm planning my wedding right now, maybe one or two things that they should know or be looking for? Brandee, I'll start with you.
Yeah, my biggest tip would be ask the vendors you've already booked that you trust and love for referrals.
Oh, good one.
It's so, so important. Read reviews. Don't ignore them.
Yeah.
If you see a vendor that's like, gosh, they're really great pricing and they've got, 10 reviews and 7 of them are a little iffy, but 3 of them are good. Trust your gut. Ask around. There's a reason. And 2, I would say, when you're reading reviews, the opposite is true as well. If somebody has 50 great reviews and one like rager, and you can clearly read through it. I mean, it happens. But once you book one vendor that you trust and you love, say like, hey, who do you love working with? Because if they love working with the team, it's just going to go smoother on your wedding date anyway. So I think referrals are the absolute best source. Absolutely.
100% agree.
I love that. Okay. And so if I'm booking blush, how do you pair me with vendors? How do you know what vendors are a good fit for me? Yeah.
So we ask a lot of questions. So one thing that we absolutely never, ever do is hand a bride a vendor list. We don't do it. We don't even have one. We have an internal one, but it's ugly on purpose. So we can't get it. So, it's really important to us to ask a couple questions. One, budget, it's always going to be important. And we'll also kind of push back a little bit if your budget's unrealistic. So we'll say, we don't refer anyone within that price point for a reason. So we'll kind of talk through the budget with them a little bit. We'll also talk to them about what's important. So for a DJ specifically, we'll say, what's important? Like, are you dancers? Or are you more kind of like, I want to have a dinner party, more like I'm going to have cigars out on the patio? Do you want games? We always smash the games as much as possible. We're not really a game kind of a wedding planner, but we've done it once or twice. We ask those kind of questions. What's your personality? Like, if we know the bride and groom are like super partiers, or they're like really, really meek and like quiet. So, and then we'll try to pair them from there. And personality is always a huge, huge thing. For us, we work with almost every vendor in Central Florida, but the ones that we work with a lot, it's because they're not only just phenomenal at their job, but they have amazing customer service. And that is going to play a huge part in your wedding planning.
And lessening the stress too, wouldn't you agree?
Yes. I mean, we want people that get it, that have timely responses, that show up on time, that are going to provide exactly what you ordered. And, you know, if we steer you in one direction, it's always funny to me when people are like, you know, tell me what DJs you recommend and we'll give them 2. And they're like, do you have more? And I'm like, no, because these are the that are for you in Central Florida. We don't only have 2 on our list, but these are the 2 that we think are a great fit for you. They fit your budget, your vision, your style, your personality. Go. So yeah, that's how we choose vendors.
I love that. Okay, Corbin and Mandy, what about you? What are some tips for couples right now looking into videography for their wedding?
Let me pull out my list here. All right, let's see.
For more information, please visit loveandlusterweddings.com.
For real, anyone who's watching who wants any more tips or wants just not even our customers, we love sharing our knowledge.
Let you know.
So yeah, please.
Well, we've talked about style, we've talked about personality, we've talked about budget. One thing people don't think about a lot when it comes to video is your videographer A, personally shooting your wedding, and B, personally editing your wedding? That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like, we like to get to know our couples, we want to know your story, we want to know your family, and that makes a difference when we're editing because we know what to focus on. So like, if you're watching one of our videos and you see a cute father-daughter look, and you're like, oh, that's nice. Like, that looks good from the outside, but the bride knows that, like, her dad is, like, she's his only daughter. Like, this is only going to happen once. And this is, like, that's why he's crying. And when we know the background of that.
We will literally, since we shoot and edit, we will literally get teary-eyed. Like, we'll have to step away from our edit bay because we're so emotionally invested in our couples. We love our couples. We love their stories. And that's part of the service that we provide is we make art about emotion. So, and we say that to say that that kind of video is not really a commodity to where like we can easily farm it out to someone to go shoot. Like maybe our full length, maybe someone could go shoot an easy documentary thing without that. But that's the basis of what she's saying is know who is shooting and who is editing your particular video. So. And
then while we're shooting, if we know all of that stuff, like we can know what to focus on. Yeah. We know what angles we need.
We've met you.
Yeah, we're thinking about how we're going to edit it as we shoot it. And that's really important for like getting the right shots that we actually want to use.
Yeah.
I love that. So then how do you guys come up with a shot list? Like, are there certain things that you're looking for? Like, do you create a timeline and then like, okay, now there's shots I need to get? Like, where does this process even start? Does the couple come to you?
Yeah, we can definitely answer that. So the whole creative thing starts with the story of the day. So the backbone of most of our films, if our highlight films is what I'm talking about, are the either the vows that they write to each other, the letters that they write to each other, or the important things that the officiant says, depending. And we, from our experience, we know like, oh, we're going to need a shot of the cake. We're going to need a shot of this, that, the other. But then we try to leave a decent amount of room for creative license and ability within the day. And from what we already know, if like we've talked to the couple, we know, oh, she told us that the bracelet she's wearing was her grandmother's from years and years ago. And that's very important to her. So when you say shot list, we don't have like 1 through 20 of things that we absolutely need to hit. We more have an idea of who they are and their story, and so we want to make sure that we capture the material to tell that story. And when you say timeline, when we're working with an amazing planner like Brandee or her team or anyone like that, we almost don't even worry about the timeline other than we need it and then we get it because
we're in so much contact with her throughout the day. Like we'll glance at the timeline from now and then, like as the day goes through. But
it's important for logistics.
Communicative enough to us to where that's not something we have to constantly keep an eye on.
And it's not something that we feel the need to nail down with the client. We're with our couples because A, their planner, if they have one, is going to be doing that, and B, also their photographer is going to have a very specific schedule, and the photographer has a very similar priority list in mind that we do as far as lighting and stuff like that. So
and that's why it's super important to have both an experienced photographer and videographer is because they'll know the shots that they need and they'll know how to get them efficiently. Like you only have so much portrait time. You only have so much getting ready time. Like you don't want them to be flubbering around like where's the best lighting? Well, let's try this.
So true.
I'm not really sure how this would work.
Do you know that from experience, babe? Is that
A
how?
little bit, a little bit.
I know that from experience.
Right. Yeah.
Please hire professionals.
Yes, you need someone decisive who can be like, this is the best light. This is what we're going to do.
And that's a huge thing too. Well, we could just keep going with tips. We'll try to wrap it up here. But like professionals, like Brandee was saying, hire, and Kristen, you were seconding, like hire people that are recommended by your trusted professionals. Make sure you have an amazing DJ who knows how to keep a schedule for the reception. Make sure you have an amazing caterer who can get the food there. And if you listen to the people that you've already trusted, and then you get even more, like separately, you might hear, oh, Kristen from 4 separate people, she's got an amazing review. You know that's the DJ that you want to pick at that point. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I just want to piggyback so that brides that are listening don't think that necessarily means pay for the most expensive people.
Right, of course.
That's not what that means.
Yeah.
And the great part about having professionals is that we talk to each other. So, for instance, and I'm not saying that Kristen does this, Kristen particularly, but just as a for instance, if Kristen says to my team, like, hey guys, we had a cancellation for October 24th, and if you have anybody, we're willing to work with them because we want to fill that date, then then we know that. So then we, like, the insider knowledge that we have, or discounts that we get, or just knowing there are vendors that are amazing in every price point. It's just what you're willing to pay for, if that makes sense. So when we say work with professionals, that does not always mean that you have to spend the most amount of money you can.
Yeah.
It just means that you really need to research in your price point who's a great fit, because there's great fits in all different price points, you know?
Absolutely. Yep, good point.
I agree. I think all of this is such great information. I think I want to end with one really important question, because we've talked about a lot. We've given really great tips. And I'm going to toss it to Brandee first, since she is like the ringleader of all the things. What would you say are the main key points in the night where collaboration is really key amongst the vendors?
Yeah. So it's going to be opening doors for the reception when we're opening doors, because we need to make sure the bride and groom are back from photos. It's going to be cake cutting, typically just because there's a lot of like downtime right before cake cutting. And then any special dances, toast, that kind of thing. But really open doors and cake cutting and maybe toast, depending on how that order goes, are going to be and then the end of the night, the farewell, just to make sure that everybody knows, like, this is where we're doing it. This is what time we're playing the last song. We have 3 songs left. So that, like, lighting typically has to go get set up. Like, video might need to set up lighting because it's dark outside or whatever. So those are the most collaboration points that we feel like throughout the night. There's tons, but those are the big ones. Yeah.
I think I would agree with that. And just, to give you guys some examples of what that looks like behind the scenes, is, when the doors are opening, it's not like doors are opening and like things just happen. At that given point, I, as the DJ, can see all of it transpire. And so what's happening in that, like, let's say 10 to 15 minute time frame is you've got anywhere from, 75 to 300 people, whatever your guest lists are, moving from cocktail hour into reception. So the DJ, myself, or, whoever your DJ is getting them seated with, intro music. At the same time, Brandee is bringing over whoever we're introducing into the room, family, wedding party, you guys, lining you up. I, as the MC, am running through that timeline. All right, guys, let's get it going. All right, we've got Amber and John. Okay, come on down. And so that's happening at the same time, literally the same time. It's not like one thing happens another, right? You've got Corbin and Mandy setting up lighting in the room. And if there's any uplighting or, let's say, special effects, we're making sure that's going on in the other room, as well as your caterer is maybe pouring champagne and
moving parts.
Coordinator that, like, okay, so we've got champagne, that's poured, lights. So everything is happening simultaneously. And most people don't even know that it's happening. So
that's the goal, right? Is it nobody?
We've all done our jobs when no one can tell that anything's happening, and that it all just happens.
Yeah, it's the best feeling. It's absolutely my favorite thing when everything is happening, and that's why there's always 2 of us too, because then I'm looking at the bride, if I'm the lead planner, and I'm like, everything is perfect.
Everything's all good. Right.
Day. And my assistant's running around like, you're good. Everybody's good. We're on time. We're opening doors.
And then hold on. We didn't mention, let's rewind to earlier in the conversation where, like, you had one guest that added on, and now we got to find a chair and make
Right.
the table 9 instead of 8. That's also going on as well. So
Yeah.
it's kind of wrapping everything up. It's really important to find people who truly know what they're doing. They are professional. They work together, because again, the whole goal is for you guys to show up, have a great time, stress-free, and just enjoy. Take a few bobby pins out if you need, and enjoy. Once we get through dinner, guys, and it's dancing time, just celebrate.
Yes.
I always say that life is about moments. Don't wait for them, create them, and let the professionals behind the scenes make it to where it flows smoothly so that you can enjoy that. So Brandee, Corbin, Mandy, thank you guys so much for joining. It's always amazing to be around you, and I'm so grateful for your partnership. And I can't wait to see you on the dance floor at the next wedding.
Thank you.
So real quick, tell everybody where they can find you.
For us, it's loveandlusterweddings.com, and it's Lustre is spelled Lustre. Our whole portfolio is there, and everything that you would need to contact us is there. And you can also find our Instagram through that and everything.
Perfect. What about you, Brandee?
So our website is blushbbg, like by brandeegaar.com. And all of our social handles, we're everywhere: Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, on at blushbbg. So come find us.
I love it. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully it was helpful. And have a great night.
Thanks, Kristen. Bye.